All right, Grasshoppers, the most popular 30 minutes on the internet around the world since Kathleen is on. Kathleen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good. So we have had Jackie Long on here in the past, the hypnotist, and Kathleen and Jackie are friends. Jackie's out for a few weeks. Is this the last week we're going to have you?
I think it's the last week.
Well, then we don't want to leave it that way. We're going to have you on again. You could have all three of us on, Jackie.
Well, that would be so fun if we could all do it together.
So this is Kathleen McIntosh, as you can see, Kathleen McIntosh hypnotherapy.com.
Yep.
Right there. And again, people could find you where online at
and at Google, just Google Kathleen McIntosh and it'll pop right up. And you can go over to my Google business site there and it'll have lots of information, or just contact me. I like to do a consult call. I find it's most effective for really giving the information. So.
Right. And you mentioned something I thought was interesting. I think it was last week, talking about not everybody's a fit for you. I mean, you're not a fit for everybody, right? You've got your personality.
And I think that's the same with any therapist, honestly. And I think that's the unfortunate thing that turns people off therapy, is if they maybe didn't get a therapist, or that they, even if it's a counselor or a psychologist that they don't mesh with, that they may give up on therapy before they've really had a chance for it to work, just because of the client therapist relationship. So
I've learned a lot about the hypnotherapy from you and Jackie, but the mind in general, the subconscious mind, all that kinds of stuff that you've talked about. I know, because going into it with Jackie, I had this impression she was going to be dangling a watch in front of my face, like in the movies, which is not the case at all.
We do that occasionally. It is a way to induce hypnosis, but we don't use it very often.
Oh, really? Oh, you do? Okay.
But it is not so much a watch as a pendulum, but we did learn to use pendulums to induce hypnosis, and it's pretty crazy.
Oh, wow.
Like, I've watched it numerous times. Yeah.
Have you done it?
Yes, I have. And actually you can actually tell them to make the pendulum go in a circle, and it will, and you can get them to swing it right to left, and it will, and they're just amazed. But what's happening is the brain is actually sending a signal to the little muscles in your fingers, and it's called like an ideomotor response. And you get they don't think that they're moving at all, and all of a sudden the pendulum starts going in a circle, and they're just completely blown away by it.
That's amazing. Did we have a discussion last week, Camp members, or did somebody else? Somebody said to me that we only use anywhere from 4 to 10% of our brain. Is that accurate? Do you believe that?
I believe that, probably because we definitely don't use it to its full capacity, but you and I were not talking about that, I don't think.
Well, that's the guy. It was another guy doing a show. This Mark Puttenvik, I think it was. And he's really into fitness and mental health and everything too. It's amazing. It's like that low amount of brain. So that means, obviously, you train your muscles, you can train your brain to use more of your.
You certainly can, yeah. And I think that people just kind of, it's not something that we learn in school, right? We're not trained to. They really need to change our education system, because if they taught us these things, even meditation or just calming, so that we can learn how to figure out how to get through life with it not being quite so stressful for some people, right?
Like, I'm 64 now, so I've been doing this True Grit Life stuff for, I think, 5 or 6 years now, and I just realized how much I didn't know before, just in general about life and learning things, and talking to people like yourself and others, and learning how to learn. And even I would joke around about not using the air conditioning because I was trying to.
Oh yeah, how's that going? Well, it must be cooling off now.
Well, Mother Nature lost. She was trying to sweat me out. She couldn't do it. She gave up and went home. It's nice weather now, so it's all fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I beat her. So a little bit of a lighter note here. I'm going to get your opinion now. Have I talked to you about my arch nemesis, Pepper the dog?
No, Pepper the dog.
Okay. So this is kind of funny, but it's also, so we live in a condominium complex, and dogs are loud, and I love dogs. And most of the people here that have dogs, if the dogs are under control, not run around barking. There's one family that I don't know. They live at a building next to ours. They've got a little dog, Pepper, who's one of those small dogs that likes to bark a lot. So, so I come in. I need some therapy.
You want to become the dog whisperer?
Well, I need some therapy, because last night I lost my temper a little bit. I've been keeping it under control, just kind of laughing it off. And last night I was talking to a client on the phone. I was sitting on my back deck. It was a nice night. And the Pepper and her mother came over to the neighbor who has a dog themselves. And they were standing outside having a conversation. The two dogs were relentlessly barking at each other.
Oh.
So after a few minutes, I decided that was going to end. And I said, what did I say? I said, enough. Can you shut the dogs up? and it felt good at the moment, but then after a couple minutes, I'm like,
And after you were feeling a little hostile.
well, I'm thinking, yeah.
Were you still on your call though with a client?
I did put him on mute because he was saying to me, he's a good guy. He goes, "Where are you living?" Like, just.
Oh, because the dogs were just crazy.
Yeah.
So it's disruptive, right?
Yeah.
If it was under different circumstances, I mean, under those circumstances, probably just a kind, oh, hey, I'm on a business call or I'm on a coaching call and just wondering if I can get you guys to separate the dogs or something. So it's, something along those lines. Now, if it's just barking in general, I actually, I did a hypnosis session with a lady who had some other noise irritation. I can't remember what it was.
Oh.
Anyhow, I used the husband's snoring. Snoring. And so I used the snoring in the audio as a way for her to fall asleep better.
Oh, is that right?
I said, focus your attention on the snoring. Listen to the sound of the snoring. As he's taking a breath in and out, I want you to focus on that snoring. And as you're listening to that snoring and you're getting in rhythm with his snoring, I want you to just close your eyes and go to sleep. And I was just literally, the whole audio was just her getting in tune with the snoring and allowing it to take her deeper into hypnosis and go to sleep. And she was like amazed at how powerful that was. Because I messaged her a few days later. I said, how's the audio going? She's like, I can't believe it, but it's like, I'm just totally falling asleep now every time to his snoring. And it's like,
that right? That's good.
Yeah, because he goes to bed before her because he gets up really early for work.
So what does she have to do? Continually listen to the
No, once you've tuned into that. So now once we use the audio to kind of train the brain, then we also teach self-hypnosis, right? So then when she's going to sleep, if she's staring at that spot and she just starts to hear his snoring, then she just allows that and she just tells her mind. Once you practice it enough with my voice, then you can just do it yourself. Oh. That's the whole objective of what we do is we teach self-hypnosis. I don't want clients to come to me for everything, right? Once they've come to us with a major issue that they're working on, we always teach self-hypnosis so that they can then go and use the self-hypnosis themselves.
Oh, that's interesting. So I guess I kind of did that with the no air conditioning because instead of me thinking, okay, I've got to beat the heat, I just zoned out the heat. Like I just didn't
exactly. And you just told your mind that it wasn't bothering or whatever. Oh, I'm comfortable. I'm calm and comfortable. I always tell people the number one thing you need to tell yourself is the positive because the brain actually doesn't hear negative words. So if you say, I don't want to be late, you'll be late because all the subconscious hears is, I want to be late. I don't want something. All the brain hears is, I want that thing. So when you are training your brain, try to use simple language. They say like that a 7 or 8 year old could understand, put it in a positive affirmation, present tense. So not in the future, not in the past, and not a negative. So if someone tells me, oh, I don't want to be late. I said, okay, so you want to always be on time. So then just tell yourself that I'm always on time.
I guess athletes do that with they're doing their visualization too, right? They're visualizing good things like scoring a goal in hockey or whatever it is, a goalie makes.
Absolutely. Like if you were doing sports, you're a sports guy and you would probably have a lot of athletes that watch you. So one of the things for accelerated performance in sports that they would want to do is exactly that. If they probably have lots of, TV, film or whatever, where they could see themselves scoring a great goal or doing something really well, then get that, have them watch that quite a few times, and then just have them close their eyes and just visualize that. And then that becomes the visualization. Or a golfer with a golf swing, when they've made that perfect golf swing, or they know what their body looks like when they make that perfect golf swing, that's what they want to visualize. I actually, on golfing for that note, I was having trouble last time. Couldn't hit my driver for the life of me. Right. I went out, I totally visualized my drive every single time. And they had a book that came with the course that said, okay, you want to set your shot up here. I said to my girlfriend, yeah, like we're going to do that. But I visualized that. And man, my driver was on fire, fire. Couldn't putt worth shit, but so it does work. Just visualize it and see it. See where the ball's going to land. Know where that's going to happen. And the muscles will just, I'm not saying it'll happen 100% of the time, but it certainly makes it better. Yeah.
Right. So from a coaching standpoint, then let's say you're going, you got a team, a hockey team, and you want to go over, they made some mistakes the game before. You've got to show the mistakes, but I guess that's where you maybe show the mistakes first and then come back later with all the positive things they did.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are lots of hypnotherapists that work strictly with sports teams. I just came back from Vegas, and there's two big ones. One of the ladies, she actually works with Olympic swimmers.
Wow. Because that makes sense. Because there's like, even at the pro level, people think, well, they're making millions of dollars, they should be confident all the time. Well, it's just doesn't matter, right? You lose your confidence, you lose your confidence.
Didn't you say that happened with you one time too? Like,
oh yeah, you always your ebbs and flows all the time with confidence, and you don't know why. But again, I really believe if I was playing now, because of the things I've learned from people like yourself, I would be much better mentally. I would be more consistent. If you do lose your confidence, I feel like I could get my confidence back quicker now because of the things I know. There's no question. I was going to touch on something there. Okay. I got another, I want to go back on that. I'm very interested in that topic too, but there was something I wanted to touch on with you. Okay. So I was at Costco today, and I'm pretty good eater, really healthy stuff, but they have this mac and cheese. I've been looking at. It's like a homemade mac and cheese they got there. So I walked by there a few times, like, cause I got tortured myself. I walked by, I look at it. So no, I'm not buying it. So today I gave in and I got the mac and cheese, brought it home and ate it, and it tasted terrible. It was awful. I think because I've been so healthy, like all the cheese and everything, it was just like, ugh, it's terrible. But so there are actually food addictions. People are addicted to food.
Yes.
How does that happen? Is that a genetic thing, or is it that you want the taste? Is it a taste thing? Like
you know what? Addiction in general, we've talked about this before. Addiction in general is something out of those 9 needs that is missing, those 9 emotional needs. So comfort, emotional eating, you've probably heard that. So addicted to chocolate, it's whatever that chocolate represents for that person. And they may not even know. They may not even know why. They just have to have chocolate. And that's where the hypnotherapy can be very useful, is because it's like, well, what do you feel when you eat the chocolate? And then you just kind of get that feeling, and then you figure out where that feeling comes from, or where the lack of it was, or and then you try to associate a new thing to that feeling. So some kind of positive behavior that will substitute that behavior. But at the same time, you also have to clear out whatever's causing that. For emotional eaters, it might be something from, again, we keep going back to childhood. It might be something from childhood. There might be a sense of comfort. When I used to come home from school, mom would always have fresh baked cookies, or there'd be a pie. If mom was a big baker, that might be those, because your smell, your olfactory, those are very powerful. I don't know if you've ever had a girlfriend that has a certain perfume, and when you smell that perfume on someone else, it's like, oh, it kind of automatically triggers that person that you remember. So smells in the kitchen and things like that can do that as well. So if it's a comfort thing, oh, mom used to always give me cookies when I got home from school, that's where that may come from. So you just want to see where, through hypnosis, it's a little easier to just kind of find where the beginning of that was, right, and then reframe it and find new ways to get that same comfort feeling.
Since I've gotten healthy, I've stopped doing this, but I had a thing there for Kentucky Fried Chicken where, like, every 3 months I wouldn't have to smell it or whatever. And roughly in 3 months, I would just have this burning desire to get Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I could never just get like a 3-piece meal. I'd have to get a 20-piece bucket. So I'd eat Kentucky Fried Chicken for a week. By the time the week was done, I was still sick, like all the sugar and everything in it. It was terrible. But 3 months later, same thing again. I'd have to get
you need a body flush. Go get some Kentucky Fried Chicken. And it's funny you bring that up, because, this might make me emotional, but these are the things, right? I was taking the grandkids fishing. And when my father used to take, like, my kids and my brother's kids fishing, because they would do that family fishing trip after we'd sold the fishing resort. And my dad always picked up a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And that's what they had for dinner the first night they arrived. And it totally crossed my mind to do that. But we were going to a resort that was really close. So I was like, no, we don't need Kentucky. I don't need everybody having digestion issues on the first day that we go fishing. I don't need that in my life.
I know. Oh, Kentucky Fried. And it's weird because I think my parents used to like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I know,
too. Yeah.
right? It's those things that just spark those memories of comfort, right?
Yeah.
It's that feeling of love because you remember your parents did that, and it's amazing what things can trigger emotion.
Now you get me thinking. So pea soup. So I was home from school sick one day. My mother was home making pea soup. And so whenever I smell pea soup, there's a game show on, and this guy, I can't remember the guy's name. So whenever I smell pea soup, I can picture this older gentleman in this game show. It's just the pea soup and this guy just come together. Because I remember I built like a.
Oh, it was probably The Price is Right, because we were watching that if we were homesick as
probably
kids,
right?
Like
that. Oh yeah. So I was really comfortable, like you said. I had the blanket fort, like I made a fort with the blankets and everything, on top of the chairs. And TV was underneath there, and I could smell the pea soup. My mother was in the kitchen making pea soup, and there's so when I smell pea. Yeah.
And so now every time you see that guy on that game show, you can smell pea soup. It's crazy, totally. Right? That's how the brain works.
Wow.
It literally stores all this information just so that when we have a recall to something familiar, it brings it up to us. Like it's the most fascinating thing to study is the mind.
So that's a real scientific thing. It's not just like
it is. It is, because the memory is stored there. You had this comforting moment where you got to be home with mom. She was cooking pea soup. You happened to be watching a show when that was going on over on the peripheral.
Right.
So the two things got meshed together. Now, sometimes that happens in a positive way,
right,
and sometimes that happens in a negative way. And we talked about that with the lady going across the bridge when she was driving, and she was thinking about her life, and she had a lot going on in her personal life, and she had a panic attack. So then she all of a sudden associated that with that she was afraid to drive over a bridge. Mm-hmm. And then she created that fear because of the brain linked those two things together. And that happens all the time.
Wow, that's amazing. And then you can fix that through hypnosis. So you did actually.
Yeah, then you just have to dissociate them again. You know, if the brain can put them together, it can also take them apart.
Right. So did you? This sounds terrible. I was going to ask the wrong. Well, I'll ask it. You're tough enough. So the woman that couldn't fall asleep because of snoring. Yeah. Did you actually know that was going to work? Or you're thinking, let's give this a try to see if it works. Or did you really?
I don't know anything's going to work with anybody because everybody's mind's different, right? Yeah. I just kind of follow my instincts. I do. I just follow my instincts. I tell myself before every client. We talked about Mel Robbins. I think the high five habit.
Yeah.
Like high fiving in the mirror. So one of the things I do is I know what I need to know when I need to know it. That's just what I tell myself before every client. I'm going to know what I need to know when I need to know it. So when she started talking about that, I was like, okay, well, how can we use this to be a positive? And that was what I just thought, okay, well, let's use the sound, because one of the things we also do when we were learning was we talked about being able to hypnotize someone in the middle of an airport. It doesn't matter what sounds are going on. Hypnosis is not fragile. And so my very first, I told you I went to Vegas recently. Well, my first trip there was last year. And I had met a gentleman. We were having dinner and drinks in the bar, like you do at an airport in Denver. But we both happened to be flying to Vegas. So we'd started talking about hypnosis. And so then we're walking to our gate, and he's like, well, can you hypnotize me in the airport? And I went, oh shit, yeah, I can. They say I can. They told us we could when we were at school. I'm sure I could. And I literally did. And I took a video after he allowed me to ask him a few questions. But yeah, so sounds, as long as you program that the sound is going to be calming and comforting, then it can be very effective. And nothing is 100%. I can't guarantee everybody's going to have the same result. But once you see the sound with new perspective, then you can use it to your benefit. Right.
Because snoring is a sound. It happens to be a sound that was annoying her. So you should flip that switch around that it's a soothing sound. Wow, that's pretty cool.
That it's soothing instead of annoying, just like the dog barking.
Yeah, there's the trick. I shouldn't have got mad at Pepper. I love the sound of the dog barking.
And you know what? I'll tell you, you just love dogs. You put out just this positive energy towards that dog, and hopefully the universe.
Well, this is the dog. So
the universe says your wish is my command. I'm going to help you quiet.
Here's a funny story. About 2 weeks ago, I'd gone to Costco. I'm there at Costco a lot. I bought a big watermelon, but knowing full well that I'm not going to be able to eat the whole watermelon before it goes bad. So I sliced it in half, cut it all up, put it in a container, my old Tupperware. And so I'm thinking, okay, who am I going to give this other half of the watermelon to? So I had some garbage to take out to the community garbage there. And as I'm walking out, Pepper and Pepper's mother were walking by, and I said, you know what? I'm going to give them my the other half of the watermelon. So I had never said anything about the dog or anything like that. And the dog's quiet now. It's not barking at me. So I said, okay, this time is good. I said, ma'am, would you like the other half of this watermelon? I explained I bought too much watermelon. She kind of looked at me kind of strange because I really don't know them. And she said, yeah, we'll take it then. So I went back to my place, got the watermelon, brought it over to her. And as soon as I gave her the watermelon, the dog started barking at me again.
Oh.
It's like he was getting me to set me up, right? Oh God, it's interesting when you're talking about like when your client comes in, you say you're going to know when you know, and I've learned that too. Like, just more clearly follow my heart, or more openly follow my heart. Like I do these videos and I take pictures where I go for a march in the morning, and everybody's telling me how great these pictures are. I don't know what I'm doing at all. I'm no photographer. I just when I do, so I just say to myself, well, I think that looks good, and I don't ever doubt myself now. I just say, I think it looks good. I'm going to take that picture. It just seems that it works out much better that way, right?
It does. And you know what? And then the universe starts just putting more beautiful things in front of you, because here's the thing. We walk around with our eyes closed most of the time.
Yeah.
And when you actually, it sounds to me like you're a very mindful walker. You're paying attention to what you're seeing and what you're enjoying. And I'm a landscape person.
Oh.
When I'm driving, even just when I was driving in from the lake today with my daughter, the mountains were just, you come down from the hill and you're coming into Kamloops, into the kind of the dry valley. And it's just like the hills are so beautiful in the morning. And I just really appreciate that. And my daughter suffers from a lot of anxiety. And I said to her, see, isn't that, you just got to take a minute. And that saying, smell the roses, just take a moment to smell the roses. This is the same thing. Just take a moment to appreciate the vastness of that scenery in front of us right now. Because
totally true.
It's spectacular. It's endless,
It is. So, when I was in Fiji for Survivor, obviously there's no TVs really. You're out there playing.
Oh God, where were you in Fiji? What part? I can't remember where that one was filmed. What island were you on?
They're all on the same island. They change them around a little bit, but I'm pretty sure they're all on the same island. Yeah.
I've been to Beachcomber Island.
Oh, have you? Yeah. Oh, nice. Fiji was unbelievable, right? I mean, we stayed out in the remote forest, but when we got done, we stayed in a nice resort. There's some beautiful resorts in Fiji. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at night, there's obviously no TVs or anything like that. So we got in the habit of going down to the beach and watching the sunset. And it was just amazing. The sun's been set millions of years, but I really never paid attention to it that much. And the different colors as the sun was going through the clouds and everything like that became our entertainment instead of watching TV. So it's made me more aware now of, like, I go in the morning, so it's a sunrise, but to really pay attention to the colors and everything coming up from the clouds. It's really, Mother Nature is incredible.
And there's never two that are the same, right? It's different. I know we get good sunsets here from my deck, and I love sitting out there. And the Huberman podcast, I can't remember if we've mentioned Andrew Huberman from the Huberman Lab podcast. He talks about sunrise and sunset just to get your circadian cycle, if you're having trouble sleeping, to get up and get a little bit of that morning. Even if you don't get sunrise, as long as you get some daylight first thing in the morning, first couple hours when you wake up. Yeah. And if you can watch a sunset, then it really helps set that internal clock. He's really interesting. You like listening to podcasts or want to get some more brain information? He's a neurologist out of Stanford. He's amazing listening to. Yeah.
I guess for me, getting up in the morning and getting there early, going to the gym, and then getting to the beach so I can watch the sun come up, just unbelievable. Like I race to get to the gym. If I can't get there, that's like I'm really missing a part of my day now, right?
Okay, so you're going to hypnotize me with that, because my goal come the fall here, once I'm out of, holiday mode, is to really get a good cycle of getting up early. I keep telling myself, for me, I don't need to be up at 3:30. Isn't that what time you said you get up at?
Yeah.
It's insane. I'm like, that's still the middle of the night. I'm a bartender. I can't even, that's when I used to go to bed.
Well, that's when I used to be getting home from the bars too. Yeah. So no question. Yeah. Oh.
But I really want to, get in a habit of getting up at 6:30 and going to bed by 10:30, 11. I'm a night owl. It's how my circadian cycle has been programmed from years of bartending, right? So
I've just learned so much more from listening to other people and just doing it myself. That whole discipline thing about having a routine, a process. You're getting up at a certain time in the morning, and you have a process, and it seems kind of mundane. Like for me, it's like making my bed perfect, and I do the same thing when I go downstairs. I go to the refrigerator and I get my amino energy drink and I sit down and see what's going on in the news online. I have to be out there at 3:53 in the morning doing my first video. I have to leave at 4:10 for the gym. And I find when I do that, like even during the start of the pandemic, the gyms were closed, so I was working out at home. So instead of putting on my gym, like a gym t-shirt that I work out with or a pair of shorts that I work out with, I would just wear whatever I had on, like my pajamas or whatever. And I found like, okay, it's kind of funny for a while, but then I felt like I really was kind of
missing your routine.
Yeah. So like now I just force myself, even if you're not going to be around anybody, still put the deodorant on. There's nobody around. Still need to put little stuff like that. I think it means something. Yeah.
Well, and then you after you've created that, you've basically created a habit, right? Like I'm sure when you first started doing it, it was a bit of a struggle, but then the more you do it, and this is like anything, the more you do it, you create new neural pathways for anything, right? Your old pathway is this one: stay up late, don't do much in the morning, whatever. Then you change it. And the more you do it, then it just becomes subconscious.
Yeah.
Once we do, it's like learning how to drive. Yeah. At first, oh my God, the gas pedal, signal lights, set the mirrors, turn the radio off, do all these things. And you watch a kid learn how to drive. And it's like, oh my God, why can't you figure this out? Because it's literally a completely subconscious behavior for us now.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. And so it's now for you, your morning routine has become subconscious. Yeah. The alarm goes off. You just know what to do. Right. And so lots of times hypnosis can really help with building habits. So I'm going to start doing a new habit for myself. I quit smoking. I've done lots of great things with hypnosis. Right. So now it's getting in shape and looking after my physical well-being.
Good. Excellent. Well, if you want help, I'd love to help that stuff. I'm jazzed up about that. People come to me. I mean, I have people that sometimes pay me, other times that they don't pay me. I just feel like it's an adventure. It's always makes me better, but I'm helping somebody else and learning new things and experimenting. I have a young guy I'm helping. I won't mention his name, but I went without the air conditioning, and this young guy suffered from some depression and anxiety. Fantastic young guy though. And so I said to him, okay, I want you to pick one thing that for a month you're going to live without. Now, it's not going to be something that you're going to suffer through. Just pick one thing that you really don't have to have in your life that you can live without. Just this is a little bit of mind exercise. So to his credit, this is the first time we did it, and he picked hot water. So he takes cold showers all the time.
Oh, shit.
I was proud of him.
I know, and cold therapy is so good, right?
Yeah.
Listen to the Huberman podcast. He'll tell you about cold shower therapy in the morning. Yeah. It just energizes every cell of your body, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good for your immune system, your skin, and your hair, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Sparkling Hills?
No.
Okay, so it's it's the Swarovski crystals everywhere in this place. It's just outside of town here between Vernon and Kelowna. It's pretty schwanky, but they have one of those minus, like, I'm going to say it's 110. I can't even remember, but it is so freaking cold. They actually have you doing like a chicken dance when you're in there, and they move you through 3 different chambers to get to the really, 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 really cold one. Oh. And they tell you the first one's already freezing, and they tell you that you're in, we're in Canada here, and now we're going to go over here, and we're going to be in California, and now we're going to go way down south. And, like they mess with your mind to make you think you're moving to a warmer room when really you're going to a colder one. Right. And it's pretty unbelievable. It takes a while for your body to kind of readjust. I remember getting out of there, going right back to the hotel room and crawling into my bed just to try and fill them up. But it's supposed to be fabulous. And there's people that go there for healing, like for physical healing, athletes and stuff. Yeah. So
what is that kind of therapy where they have chambers, right? So are these the chambers that you're talking about too?
Yeah. So this is it. They just move you through. You're only in there for a total of like 2 or 3 minutes, but it's really cold. So they just move you through 3 chambers to get you to the cold one. And then they make you do like the chicken dance. You walk around in the room just so you're not thinking of the cold, and then you come out. Yeah. Right.
That's cool. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, you think about it, like, is it Finland? I guess it's a big thing, right? They go in the saunas and they go jump in the cold lake when they're done. We did that. We had a training camp my second year in the NHL. We had a training camp over at this Viramäki. It was a training facility over in Finland. And we did that. Of course, back then we had to be drinking beer the whole time too. So I don't know if that really helped or not. But.
Well, good thing alcohol doesn't freeze, right?
I've talked about it before, and I'm not proud of it when I say it. It just, that was the culture back then when I played. Drinking beer was part of everything. We had beer every place we went. Beer on the plane, beer on the bus. Yeah, it was. I think about it now. How it was great. It was great, like the bonding thing. And I guess we're young and we're burning off the calories and sweating it out all the time. But man, that's the one thing I did not anticipate when I turned pro was the amount of beer that was going to. Oh, man. There was times like we'd go on the road, especially here in New York, because we didn't travel that much. And the guys had fun traveling together. It was a fun thing. It was a bonding thing. We'd go up to a town, like a city like Montreal. The guys go to the hotel. They wouldn't even take their bags up to the room. They'd drop it off at the bellman downstairs so they could head out to the restaurant to have dinner and a few beers. It's good to life.
It's the culture, eh?
Yes, it was. Yes. Yeah. We got away with a lot of stuff that we shouldn't be getting away with as hockey players. But not as much at the pro level. Guys were, they're adults at that point, but growing up as a kid, my
the junior kind of level, like right when you turn 19 and you're legal now.
Yeah. We'd play like even when I was 15, 16, I was playing junior B. So I'm playing with guys that are 18, 19, 20 years old. So, we'd have a game at night and I'm supposed to go to school, and my parents, I was a good little hockey player. So they go, well, okay, Tommy, you can sleep in, you don't have to go. And yeah, I don't know if I told you or not, but I was coaching the high school team here locally. And as part of the requirements for that, they had to look at my grades from high school. So I didn't really recall that I was that bad in school, but they sent for my grades and I took a look at the grades. Like, oh my God, I was terrible. Like my sons got it and they were just dying laughing how bad my grades.
That's so funny because isn't that the way, right? We think that my mom literally saved a box of all our freaking report cards and all of our awards and everything. And one Christmas, she gave us all a box.
Right.
And my kids were diving in there because I told them how good I was in high school. And I thought it was. I thought I had all these great grades. And then I see that I had like a C+. And I'm like, oh my Lord. And I had a C in something, maybe even English, because I hated English. I was good at math, but not English.
It is funny. Yeah, it's terrible. That's why we went to Survivor too. They do all these tests on you. I told you this, the psychological testing. And because I'd had all these concussions, when I got back from Los Angeles doing the test, they wanted me to go for another test here locally. So the guy tested me and called me up. He goes, "Oh, Tom, you're a very intelligent man." And I was like, "Thank God. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that."
Yeah. Crazy.
Good. Well, that half hour went by fast. Thank you very much.
It always does. It's been such a pleasure. Yeah. I've actually, a gentleman, I told him I had to come in, the owner of the resort. I said, I have to go into town first thing in the morning because I got to be on this podcast. He says, I listen to them all the time. What's the name of it?
Oh, cool.
So I've sent it out for a number of people. And so I hope you're getting more followers. And
perfect. And we'll obviously Jackie will be back next week. But again, you know what? We still have all three of us on. I know you and Jackie are very good friends, and so you can kind of catch up a little bit and have some fun and talk to stuff too. So, and again, fascinating. And I've gotten a lot of comments from people how interesting the show is, the things they've learned. I've learned a ton from both you and Jackie. So thank you very much for all you've done.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Tom.
All right, Kathleen. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.